the CDC isn't improving much at all. Once again, we see that they can collect some good data and still come out on the wrong side. They posted that, although cigarette smoking is still the leading cause of preventable death in the U.S., prevalence of smoking is at its lowest levels in 60 years. From 2017 to 2023, 6.8 million adults stopped smoking cigarettes. That's an astounding success story. You'd think that, given the CDC's official mission, that would be cause for popping champagne, especially since smoking will kill about half of all long-term users, meaning almost 3.4 million lives have been saved. But once again, we see that the CDC is not an organization of science. It's an organization of politics. Their official finding is that tobacco use has increased and become even more of a problem. The CDC's Office on Smoking and Health published, quote, "Current tobacco product use among adults has not changed since 2017. Why? What do they mean by current tobacco product use? Well, even though 6.8 million cigarette smokers quit, over the same time period, 7.2 million started vaping. We've referenced Michael Siegel before. He's an anti-smoking activist who used to work for that self-same Office on Smoking and Health. As we covered, he was initially anti-vaping as well, until he looked at the data and changed his mind. Because, you see, he's actually concerned with things like doing science and finding the truth. Regarding this article, he wrote, "You've got to be kidding me. What the CDC is actually saying is that the saving of more than 3 million lives is offset because an increasing number of youth are ripping vapes. The CDC doesn't see any advantage in switching people in massive amounts from combustible tobacco cigarettes to much less hazardous, tobacco-free, smokeless e-cigarettes. They would rather that people smoke real cigarettes than fake ones." As we've covered, there's a scientific consensus that vaping is at least 95% safer than smoking, probably a lot more. That means that, of those 7.2 million new vapors, the amount that died wouldn't be 3.6 million, but 360,000 at most. That would mean a net 3 million lives saved. Quote, "I find this disturbing not only because it completely distorts the science and misleads the public into thinking that smoking and vaping are equivalent in terms of health risks, but because it demonstrates a complete lack of compassion for adult smokers who are suffering debilitating disease and death due to their use of actual tobacco that is actually combusted. It also shows a profound disrespect for the millions of people who have overcome one of the strongest addictions, smoking, by switching to a much less hazardous product that likely saved their lives. But I guess if you're an organization of politics, you need to keep the money coming in, and success is your worst enemy. You need to keep making it seem as if there's been no progress, or even making things worse, to continue to justify your funding. And they do it dishonestly, quote, "Vapes are not tobacco products because they do not contain tobacco. They truly want to paint a picture of no progress in tackling the product of tobacco use. It provides an excuse for them to continue to be needed and to argue for continued funding. The same motivation, I believe, is driving groups like ALA, AHA, and ACS to make the same decision to treat a non-tobacco product as a tobacco product. And that's without even considering how many vapors quit, and how much easier it is to quit vaping than smoking. In fact, as we've covered, many smokers have used vaping as a means of ceasing all nicotine consumption whatsoever. I'm including a link to an NIH report from 2022 which found that smokers who switched to e-cigarettes were 8 times more likely than smokers to quit nicotine altogether and 10 times more likely to stop being daily smokers. The reduction of 6.8 million smokers is monumental. Considering that, as we've covered, the most addictive drug we know of is nicotine, and given how harmful smoking is, this should be a triumph. But once again, we see that the CDC shamefully doesn't actually care about your health.